Hello and welcome to another episode of Bulls 101. It's your boy Larro, and we are always joined by my brother from another mother, Kris. How are you doing, brother? Tell me about your day today. Like, how's it been?
I'm doing good, Larro. It's good to see you. We took Saturday night off because we'll have a nice long weekend with Labor Day, and then Acme decides to just blow up our day and make three different signings. And I mean, I've had a nice weekend, but I missed talking to you. I did, and so I was like, you know what, we got to do this. Let's just get on and have some fun for a little bit. Talk about these three signings that the Bulls made today.
Yeah, what's funny is today I was working and the days I've been off, nothing's been quiet, in terms of, AK and the Bulls handling some business. And then the day I'm going to work and I'm, delivering, and next thing I look at my phone for a quick second, we signed Stanley Johnson. And I'm like, oh, okay, Stanley has some potential to defend, and he won't be scoring, shooting the ball well, but he's going to be able to defend, And then Matt Thomas, who's a shooter, who's probably just like we've talked about, probably a camp body, but you never know. But then Alize, the brother Alize. By the way, my mother loved to drink Alize. Yeah, man, Alize Johnson was who I was kind of excited about, man, because we'll get into it. But I kind of wanted to just ask you, man, like we can go in any order you want to talk about it, but like, I guess let's put an order. Let's go Stanley. Let's go Stanley first. Like, okay. What do you think he's going to bring to this team?
So Stanley is an interesting case because he's 25. He's still young. He's now, I think this is now his third or fourth team. I think he was with the Pelicans briefly, the Raptors, and the Detroit Pistons. He's got some ball handling juice, which he showed. I mean, he had a really, really awesome high school and college career coming in the NBA. But I think the thing that Bulls fans need to expect from him is multiple positions on defense. He can guard very well as a help defender. He can guard big wings. He's built like he's not like Derrick Jones Jr. We talked about playing some four, but he's got a lot. He's skinny. Stanley Johnson, he's a brick wall in comparison. He's a big boy. Like you can watch some film of him guarding Kawhi in some regular season games, and he bothers him. He's got a really, really high steal rate as well. He was in the 99th percentile this year, and he's usually been around the 90th percentile or better as in steals for his position in his career. So he's got a good eye for steals, gets in passing lanes. He can body up guys one-on-one pretty well, big wings, and that's something, we have not really had a plethora of small forward, power forward types, big wings in general. So it's a good guy to kind of back up, either DJJ, Troy Brown Jr., DeMar, Pat. Like, he can come in and he can give you good minutes. So what I think you don't want him doing is a lot of ball handling. But I know Nick Nurse on the Raptors talked to him a lot about this, about kind of narrowing and defining his role, because when he handles the ball a lot, he's not an efficient scorer at all. He can get to the rim pretty well, but he hasn't been a great finisher, hasn't been great anywhere on the court necessarily. He did shoot 34% this year from three, which is an improvement over his career average. But he tends to turn it over a lot when he handles the ball. So I think you're going to see mostly his positional defense is going to be a boon to us. And but he does have some handling chops. He is able to to create his own shot every once in a while. It's just the efficiency and the turnovers can be a concern. That's what's kind of kept him from being, reaching the potential that we thought he had when he got drafted.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching him in high school, and I'm like, this dude is, my goodness, man. This dude has so much potential. He was built like a unit, back then, So it's crazy to think that he hasn't kind of panned out in the league as someone that has watched him in high school would have thought. But even at Arizona, like, he kind of didn't live up to his and I don't think that has anything to do with him. I think it was just kind of the program. But it's kind of cool to see that he has you could tell like the last couple of years, like he's starting to figure out what maybe he needs to do to be effective. But I think that being on a team with some playmakers now, with a guy like DeMar, maybe he can get in the lineup with DeMar or in Lonzo, and maybe use his ability, as you said, like as a cutter and as somebody that can get up and go get it, and even on fast breaks, being another guy that can get out in fast breaks and really attack the rim and put some pressure on that rim, you know what I mean? But he's just a guy you can experiment with, and if he doesn't pan out, hey, we tried, but if anything, he's a guy that you could put in a lineup to like you said, he can guard, he can guard a bunch of positions. So yeah, man, I like that signing. It's a pretty good signing in my opinion, and to take a chance on him and add some depth in the wing again.
Yeah, absolutely. No real downside to it. I mean,
yeah.
You got Troy Brown Jr., you got Derek Jones Jr., now you got Stanley Johnson, all kind of decent sized wings that have good defensive potential and have some offensive upside that they haven't quite hit on yet. I think of those three, I have the most confidence in Troy Brown Jr. Developing a consistent shot and a playmaking down the line. But right now, I mean, none of them are proven. So I think it'll be a great camp atmosphere and training camp atmosphere for those three guys to kind of vie for that backup forward spot. There's going to be some good competition. So, I mean, I think it's a great move.
You said the right word. I was literally just thinking this is some of the best teams, right? If you go back into whatever team you want to talk about, right? If you just go back to practices, training camps, competition, right? Guys coming in knowing, it's one thing to come into the season knowing you have your position, locked. So maybe you don't give that effort that you usually would if you were in a competition against some other guy. This training camp, it's gonna. I wish I was able to be in Advocate Center, baby, because it's gonna be a lot of fun going on in there. A lot of guys competing, trying to make. I'll hold it. I'll hold that. What I was gonna say until we get to Alize, but like it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun to really see how this, even the preseason games. Just seeing those guys kind of knowing like this is their shot to really try to cement a spot on a playoff roster, what we think can be a playoff roster, So before we get to Alize, though, one of the good things about this team, this is Salim, our boy Salim from Bulls Gold. One of the good things about this team is no wasted roster spots on non-NBA talent. That's perfectly put, man. Like, we were thinking last season, we were thinking, well, why isn't AK going to get Mike James's, or why isn't AK going to get some of these signings on the margins? And I think we can't say that now. Like he's doing a good job of really filling this roster out and creating some competition, man. And as a coach, you love that, man, because you got guys in there that you can actually watch. There's not one person you can go in there and look at and be like, he has no chance. Let's focus on TBJ and the rest of the guys. He's gonna have a good group of guys in that wing in that wing group where he can really put them to test and do some things. But moving on.
Oh, by the way, before you do, I just want to give a quick shout out to Aldo. Yeah. It's Aldo's birthday today. That's our guy at the Barroom Network. He runs the Barroom Network and was gracious enough to reach out to us to start the show in the first place. Yeah. So happy birthday to Aldo. I hope you are not watching this and enjoying your day and not having to watch one of the shows that's being put on under your network. But happy for you for another year, and congrats to you, man.
Man, congrats, Aldo. Once again, thanks for taking a chance on us, man, and giving us the opportunity to do this, man. It's been great, and we hope to continue to do this. So, but another guy that was signed today that maybe not many people know about, Matt Thomas, 6'4" guard. What can you tell us about him? What do you think what he may be here for?
So this is one of the only signings that we've seen that is a specialist signing rather than a versatility. Like you can see with the way that AK has put together this roster, there's a lot of versatile different players, especially on defense, or players that have multiple skills on offense, right? You got like Vooch, DeMar, Zach, Kobe. These guys can all fulfill a lot of different roles. Troy Brown Jr. can fulfill different roles on offense. And that versatility really comes in handy during the regular season, especially when you've got guys going down for COVID or injuries. Having that kind of versatility in your roster can ease the burden of losing, one of your starters or one of your rotation players. So Matt Thomas he's a sharpshooter. He shot 47%. He's 47.5% with Toronto last season, or I guess it's now 2 seasons, the bubble season.
Yeah.
And then he played for both Toronto and Utah this year and shot 41%. So, on limited minutes, he was averaging like 7 to 10 minutes a game. So not a whole lot to be excited for necessarily. It's a camp spot. It was confirmed by Hoops Analysis, I think it was, .net. Keith Smith is the first one that reported it at Spotrac. So, I don't think we should expect a whole lot. It's a camp signing, but it's one of the things that this bench really does lack outside of Kobe is a consistent shooter. I guess Caruso too. Caruso and Kobe are the only 2 guys that have shown a consistency in their shooting ability from deep. So, competition for a shooting guard like Matt Thomas, he's 6'4". He's also 27, so he's kind of got the Duncan Robinson age going right now. But not too exciting, I guess. But definitely another guy that could help kind of fulfill a role that I think Denzel Valentine was signed over. I think the reason he was signed over Shaq and Chris Dunn last year was for his shooting ability and some playmaking. So, maybe Matt Thomas can kind of step into that shooter role off the bench, but that's I think at best what we'd be looking at with him. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with everything you just said. And honestly, it's just another case of you never know, right?
Look at this guy.
Oh
Mark,
my gosh.
What a hater. He says Aldo made a mistake and letting us run Bulls 101. You may be right, but you've now been a guest twice, Mark, so it's your own fault.
But it's another case, in my opinion, of we always see, situations on other teams where, hey, he was in our farm system or our G League team, and now he's playing well on another team. Why not give him a camp spot? Maybe the dude is so much of a good shooter that he just warrants a spot on this team, right? Where you need there's no team that's going to push away a sharpshooter. It's just not. You can always use one, right? So you just never
have
know.
Enough shooting.
Exactly. Yeah. Never. But yeah, camp body, like you said, and who knows? Maybe he just fills it up, and Donovan, hey, we can't let him go, man. We got to keep him. So you never know. But for the next guy, right, it's someone that I'm excited about. First off, can I say, Kris, we're crazy, man. We're crazy basketball fans, Bulls fans, dude.
We know it. They know it.
We're not talking about Pascal Siakam coming to be a Bull or Vooch coming to be a Bull. We're talking about a camp body and 2 guys where it's you could see it working, right? More so with Alize, but it's I just love it. This is why we do this podcast. This is why I love doing this podcast with you, man, because I can literally text you and be like, man, I like this signing. And it may not be a superstar. It may just be a guy that could be just that missing piece. You know what I mean? And man, I love this. But
you're right, Larro. Listen, for a guy like me who's never been an all-star but always had to try and be a star in his role, I can appreciate some end of bench roster guys. They're still some of the best players in the world. They're trying to feed their families. They're trying to make a name for themselves.
Yep.
So I think I have no qualms about giving them time and letting the people know what they can do, what we should expect from them, because those guys have talent.
Yeah.
Some guys at 20, like Zach at 25, 26 have made another big leap. These guys are excellent players, and I think it's fun and worthy, and I think it's, as you said, we're crazy. We're a little bit crazy to do this, but I think it's fun to have those guys and root for those guys and their success when it's easy to root for a guy like LeBron or KD
Yeah.
or Steph. People have millions and millions of fans. Everyone knows they're good. I like rooting for the underdog. I like rooting for guys that haven't gotten the spotlight on them as much. So I think I'll ultimately think it's a positive thing that we can do.
And you know what? That's a great segue into Alize. And something that you said was an underdog, and someone that has been overlooked, right? So let's talk about Alize. What do you feel about Alize?
I'm excited for Alize as soon. I mean, the power forward market after Paul Millsap. So we didn't get to that. We didn't do our show, but Paul Millsap ended up signing with the Nets, as everyone kind of thought he would. But Paul Millsap going to the Nets and also LaMarcus Aldridge made the Nets have to cut some people, and they're still going to have to cut some more people. I think they've got like 16 guaranteed contracts right now. The one of their players they had to cut and they didn't want to was Alize Johnson. So he's a 6'8" forward with a 6'9" wingspan, and Bulls fans are going to love him. He kind of reminds me. His activity level reminds me of like a Bobby Portis or a Taj Gibson, like just like a kind of an energy guy off the bench. The man can rebound.
Mm-hmm.
The man is a really, really good rebounder. He's always been productive in limited minutes. He has not gotten a huge chance, but what chance he did have with the Nets, he really showed out. He had like a 20-20 game against Indiana. He's been very productive. He's got a really fun little push shot in the lane. If you watch any clips of him, like he's not a big dunker. He doesn't shoot a whole lot from outside, but he's got this really nice little nifty push shot. Like Rashawn Holmes has this little floater, his little like short floater in the lane. Alize's probably got like the second nicest shot in the league that I've seen. So I think he's exactly what we needed. He allows us to have a little bit more versatility on defense. He can play the 4. You can run him as a small ball 5. That's one of the reasons we kind of lamented Larry Nance not being involved in the Larry Marketing deal for us. Yeah. Is that versatility to run a small ball lineup. I think Pat eventually is going to be able to be a small ball 5 in some instances, but Alize I think can step into that role. He's not a really, really strong defender. He's not a bad defender. He's kind of in the middle there. Yeah. He's not going to hurt you on defense. But he's just a an Energizer bunny out there. It's really kind of fun to watch him. I think Bulls fans are going to be excited to watch him this season.
Yeah, man, really like kind of digging deep into Alize a little bit. I love it. I love what he is as a player. We got a comment from I am Skokes. He says it's crazy how I said we were signing Thomas for camp and still have room for Alize, and it actually happened 10 minutes later. That's some good stuff right there, man. That's right. But I mean, if you go back, when I watch him play, it's before I knew about his high school and college, like deep into what he was. Like when you watch him play, you can see somebody that reads the floor pretty well on offense. Like he understands when to make the next pass. He understands how to attack a closeout. And then you go do your research on him. He was a point guard in high school, right? And then he just had this huge growth spurt. He was a pretty good passer, always a good rebounder. And like you said, he wasn't athletic. He wasn't like somebody that he's going to go put it on your head or anything like that. He's not that guy. And you go to college, and 37 double-doubles in 2 years of college because he ended up going to a JUCO because he was a 0-star recruit coming out of high school. So this dude, he's gotten it out of the mud, man. And that's another thing I respect about him. But defensively, he's 6'8" with a 6'9" wingspan. So he doesn't have the wingspan you would like, but so that to me that just means he's not going to be a big-time shot blocker. But he's somebody that has good lateral movement. He's solid. He's just a solid defender. He's not a detriment to your team on the defensive side of the ball. I think he's going to be a good team defender. And I like as a backup 4, like you said, Kris, as well, like he's somebody that can soak up those backup 4 minutes. And you never know, man. This is a great opportunity. I said this, I tweeted it, man. This is a perfect opportunity for him to really, this is where he can kind of put a stamp on his career. And, hey, maybe, who knows, maybe he plays well and he gets another contract or something like that down the road. But this is an opportunity for him that he needs to take advantage of. And if you look at his stats, every year where he's gotten more minutes and more opportunity, he's gotten a little bit better. He's
basically doubled his player efficiency rating every year. He went from 6.3 to 13.3 to 23.5 this last year. And his true shooting percentage was 63, almost 64%. Now, I mean, this is all in limited minutes, but
yeah,
he's shown it. He's shown that productiveness. He had a 35% true rebounding percentage, which is insane stuff. And and his offensive rebounded percent was 16.6 as well. So he's shown some talent. He, as you said, if you watch him, he's got an eye on offense, of where he needs to be, where the ball needs to be. He's not a black hole. He's just going to be a smart player. And power forward was the position we were worried most about in the last couple of weeks with the free agent market dwindling down. Paul Millsap was basically the only guy left that was going to be a solid piece for us. But I think it's going to work really well. You've got our bench now: Caruso, Kobe, Troy Brown Jr., Derek Jones Jr., Tony Bradley, Alize Johnson. That's 6 guys right there that I think are all competent rotation level players in the NBA, or have proven to be worthy of those minutes. So it's going to be a good competition. I think Billy Donovan can be able to go 9 or 10 deep pretty easy this season. I mean, the transformation. So I know we've talked about each of these players, but what I really want to talk about is the transformation of this roster.
Yeah.
Over the last season has been remarkable. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's been absolutely crazy to think about. Zach and Kobe are the only 2 people that were on this roster last season that are still here at the start of the season. I mean, I thought we were bringing back like 9 or 10 guys out of our roster from last year just because of the lack of cap space. And, frankly, I just didn't see a whole lot of talent from the 10 to 15 spot on our roster. And so I didn't think we'd be able to replace that or trade for that, and trade for upgrades. But honestly, as Salim said, there's really no wasted roster spots on this roster, which is, I don't know, it's quite a feat from Acme. I'm really impressed. They blew me away this offseason. I'm flabbergasted at what they've done, and really excited to start the season. Like, when does the season start, Larro?
Man,
can't come fast enough. Drami 1822 said that as well. He got tickets, Bulls at Suns March. Man, I might drive out to Phoenix and see. That would be fun. I used to live in Phoenix. I would go to the Bulls games all the time, but it's gonna be exciting here.
Yeah. Wow, man. You once again, man, you bring up another good point. Like this roster, man. Like, I don't even know what to say, man. Like, I guess it's just, as Bulls fans, we're not used to this. We're not used to seeing a front office operate this way, in such a efficient way of building a roster. And again, like, yes, the DeMar contract and what we had to do to get him, it maybe you could say that's a damper, right? But you got the player, and you still were able to add to this team in guys that will help this team. So, also, can I also say, Kobe, man, Kobe. I am very excited to see Kobe on this team, because my God, like, being able to come off the bench and either play with DeMar at times or play with Lonzo at times and just do what he likes to do, man, and catch and shoot, attack closeouts, get to that pull up he likes at the nail, just be himself. You know what I mean? And I don't want to make it seem like, Kobe's a one-trick pony or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, from what we've seen in his basketball career in the NBA level, like, that's what it seems he's most comfortable at, is being a scorer and catching and shooting and, getting, doing all the things he loves to do. But I'm really excited to see this dude, man, with some, playmaker alongside him. man, I can't explain it, man. I'm just ready for everything. I can't.
Yeah.
Like you, Kris, we've not been in this position in a long time, man.
I'm so excited. You're right. For Kobe's sake, I think the talent upgrades on this roster will only help him achieve, the goals that he has for his career. Now, I know he does not see himself as a sixth man.
Yeah.
So even though he probably will play a lot of that role this year, I think he has aspirations that are higher than that. And I think he can reach those aspirations. We saw him in a starting role last year, and I thought on the whole, he performed pretty admirably given the circumstances of the team and what he had to go through. And I was talking about this the other day on Twitter, but the role that he had on defense and offense both changed dramatically from year one to year two. I thought he was better on defense year one as a help defender, not on the ball as much. And then year two, he had to step into a starting role, step into a point guard role, be the main facilitator for this team to start the year, and he had to guard the other team's best point of attack guy on a nightly basis. He took on a lot of responsibility, and I thought he had some really great flashes, and obviously some ups and downs as you would expect from any second-year player, and especially one in that role. But as you said, Larro, I'm so excited to see him in this role. I think with the talent around him, with better defensive guards and wings around him, that's going to allow him to expend more energy being the offensive dynamo that we know he can be.
Yeah.
His shooting is going to be really important to the bench. And I love the idea of him next to Caruso or him next to Caruso and one of DeMar or Zach or Vooch, where the focus can be on those star players and Kobe can just eat and not have to worry so much on the defensive end, not taking on so much responsibility, but he can just do what Kobe does best. And I think that's going to help him solidify the confidence in the role that he's playing right now. And it's going to allow him to expand his role going into the future. And I think the same with Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams is being put in a better position to succeed than he was last year. He was called upon to do a whole lot of things last year.
Yeah.
I mean, he guarded the best player every night.
Every night, man.
Giannis, LeBron, Kawhi, PG, Booker, he was guarding everybody. And he was at the three, which was a tough position for him to be at with, his quickness and his lateral ability and his size and everything. I think putting him at the four this year, I think he's going to be in a better position to succeed. His help, his weak side help, rim protection, secondary rim protection is going to be key to help Vucevic, because Vuce is going to have, some people coming in the paint, and we don't have. That's kind of the one weakness I think defensively of the roster is the backup four spot, and I think Alize Johnson can step in and help. And I think Pat, we're going to see a lot of growth from him in that area this year. What do you think about Pat and his growth and the position he's been put in?
I just remember last season seeing him go up against Giannis. That always sticks out to me, because you could tell after the game he was just like, oh my goodness, welcome to the NBA. I remember him talking about Giannis giving him a shoulder in his chest, getting to the rim, and he just wasn't ready for it. But we have a comment from Torian. I hope I'm saying that right. I think the Bulls can be a solid 4th or 5th seed with winning between 45 to 52 games, barring injuries. And honestly, I kind of am in agreement with that, man.
I'm with it.
I think that's a realistic take and opinion, and whatever you want to call that. I'm with that, brother.
We should be over a 500 team. I mean, we have the talent and the ability and the coaching and the organizational structure to do that. No question. Can they do it? We'll see, but they absolutely should be able to. That should be the expectation.
But I
love this one too.
Oh, sorry. yeah. Victor De Jesus, Alize Johnson, aka Jerome Junkyard Dog Williams 2.0. Okay.
We need some dogs on this team.
Yes.
We need some PJ Tucker dogs on this team. And I think we've got him, man. I think we've got him now. Caruso is going to be out there. Pat's going to be out there. Alize, Troy Brown. It's going to be amazing.
I hope they allow Caruso to wear a headband, man. Please please let him wear a headband.
We got a few guys. Yeah, you guys need to wear a headband. Alize is a headband guy too.
Yeah, one, I know he loves the headband, but two, the brother needs to wear a headband. I mean, he's got a lot going on up top. Not a lot going on up top, if you know what I mean. So it's
gotta call him out like that.
Hey man, Caruso, I love you, brother. If there's a chance you watch this, but but back to Pat though. I think sliding him to the 4, because I think playing him at the 3 was an experiment and something he was not used to, because at Florida he was more off ball, more of the 4 position, but he was able to switch, when called upon or when a play called for it. He wasn't somebody that you could just slap on, which he did. He did well against Cole Anthony in a game against North Carolina when he was primarily defending him. But he's not someone you just want to throw on, little guards or smaller wings or anything like that. And I think that was just a tough time for him last year. But I think sliding him to the 4 position and putting him in a position to be that weak side secondary rim protector, which if anybody that's watching this right now or are going to listen to this, like that's one of the things that popped off the screen when watching his college tape is his ability to rim protect from the weak side position. And there were so many instances where he was outside the paint and there was a drive on the opposite side of the block of the paint, and he was able to go get it and wipe it off the glass, or jump with some verticality, not foul, and just be a deterrent. And I think putting him back there is only going to make him more comfortable, which in turn will help him on the offensive end as well. So it all equals out, man, in every sport. When you're playing good defensively in baseball, you bring that to the plate, right? It all comes together when you're able to play good defense, like offensively. It just all comes together, man. And we've already touched on offensively with him. I think that he's gonna benefit from the space of being a cutter and being able to be a lob threat. This team, I think, will be able to attack teams vertically and horizontally now. There's some more lob threats as well. So it's going to be fun, man.
Yeah, Skokes is right. Favorite block of the year was Pat Will taking on Ayton. So if you guys watch the finals when Giannis blocked Ayton at the rim on that lob attempt, Pat Williams had an even better one somehow than that during the season where Ayton went up to catch a lob, and Pat Will not only came from the weak side, got it, he blocked it and then snatched it from him with 2 hands in midair. Phenomenal play. Man. So that kind of thing, only 2 people in the NBA, Giannis and him, can probably do from a physical standpoint. But I think Pat has a lot of potential there defensively, and I think put him at the 4 is the right spot. And we're going to need him at the 4. Now that we've got a bunch of good-sized wings, that's the other thing I want to talk to you about is the shortest guy on this roster is Kobe White at 6'5". Ooh. And Caruso is also 6'5". So one of the things I've been thinking I want to ask you about, Larro, is the defensive scheme that they're going to run. We know they're going to run drop with Vooch.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And we're probably going to run drop with Bradley because they're both good at that. And I think Vooch, we've talked about this many times, limited mobility there to be able to run any other type of defensive scheme. But with the guards and the wings, do you think they're going to go man-to-man? Do you think they're going to switch? What kind of scheme do you see them implementing through Billy?
I think, whether it's guard to guard, picking inverted pick and rolls, or guarding Chicago action, Orlando action, Miami action, like now you can switch these things, right? There's a lot of like-sized guys on the roster now where, you can switch, and then obviously whenever it's a big on guard pick and roll, you go to drop, so it's, yeah, man, I believe it's going to be a lot of switching going on, and for Zach, that might be great for him. I mean, he just played a whole bunch of switch everything in the Olympics. So, yeah.
I heard he did pretty well defensively there. I'm just saying.
Hey, man.
I think here's one of the things I was thinking of. So with Zach and Vooch and DeMar on the roster and then the starting lineup at the same time, I think people are going to try and attack Zach and they're going to try and attack DeMar in the pick and roll. They're going to try and put them at the point of attack, put them in a pick and roll because they're going to think that's the weak point. But I think, at least from Zach's perspective, I like having Zach at the point of attack in that starting lineup because you're going to put Pat and you're going to put Lonzo in help position, which I think is their strongest position defensively. And Zach is actually he's a very capable on-ball defender and he's gotten better at help defense as well. So I think really the only weak point you're looking at from a perimeter perspective is DeMar. If DeMar gets put in pick and roll, but once again, if you got Lonzo and Pat in the help position, I think that's probably going to be the best position you can have, that lineup in defensively. We talk about lineup versatility. I think that's where Caruso and Alize Johnson are going to be really, really important to get DeMar and Zach, because neither of them are plus defenders. Zach has gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
DeMar has not gotten better. He deserves the reputation, at least right now, of being a very poor defender. But switching those guys up and putting in strong defenders like any of the wings we've got, like Alize, like Caruso, I think is going to be important to maintaining our defensive efficiency over the year. So what do you see from now that we've got a full roster?
Yep.
What do you see from a defensive perspective where we're weak or where you have some concerns?
Before I touch on that, like I think we need to touch on, like, with the viewers and listeners, like with some people may like be thinking like Zach on point of attack, but no, I think we talked about this with who was it, Mark? I think, did we have Will Gottlieb? We had Will Gottlieb on. I think we were talking about it, and shout out Will, man, what's up, brother? But the Zach being on point of attack, like I think we need to talk about the drop scheme, right? So there aren't a lot of, like, being a pull-up shooter in the NBA is like a premium. Like it's something that if you're going to be a big time guard, like you have to have that in your bag. You got to be able to, shoot pull-up threes, pull-up middies, mid-range jump shots. That's something that you need to have in your bag. But there aren't a lot of really good pull-up shooters in the league that shoot at a nice clip, right? So obviously in drop, you don't want to play drop against like a Damian Lillard, or you don't want to have to play drop against Damian Lillard or CJ McCollum, anybody like that. But if you're playing drop in, let's say Eric Bledsoe or Malcolm Brogdon, like guys that you want to run them off the 3-point line and get them to, kind of persuade them into either a floater, which is a lower percentage shot, or a pull-up mid-range jump shot, which is a lower percentage shot. Like that's what it's about, right? Zach, his number one goal is to just run guys off the line. Don't try not to get hit as much on the screen. Be there for a rear view contest. And you'll live with that. You'll live with those long, not long, but mid-range twos, right? So you're not asking Zach to be Kawhi Leonard. You're asking him to just navigate screens and just get rear view contests. So I think we just needed to touch on that just in case.
No, you're right, and I think he's athletic enough to do that.
Oh, yeah.
He's always been athletic enough, and he's long enough where he can bother a pick and roll ball handler and run him off the 3-point line or contest, or get him into that mid range where you're forcing him into making a decision to pass or to shoot a tougher shot like a floater, or a pull up in the mid range. So we got a Raptor fan, Musa. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your name, Musa Yuman, I hope, something like that. Sorry. Y'all got an elite defender in Stanley Johnson coming from a Raptors fan. Thank you. We're excited to have Stanley. It was one of the guys that Larry and I have been talking about last couple of weeks as kind of a buy low candidate who has got some upside defensively and has shown some ball handling skills. So we'll take good care of him as much as we can. So thank you for the comment.
Hey, shout out a Raptors fan coming to a Bulls, podcast, man. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you popping in here, man. We're
expanding into Canada. We're expanding into Canada.
Hey, man. Hey, I haven't been to Canada, but I would love to go to Canada now. Okay.
I've been a couple times. Great. Nicest people ever.
Humble brag, bro. No, but
Alberta. I got family from Canada, so.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope, man. But you asked what I may think is a concern, weakness.
What are you concerned about defensively now that we've got the full roster before us?
Man, I'm trying to run through it in my head right now, man. One of the weaknesses was wing depth and being able to compete at the wing position. I think we got better at that. I think games where we see like a Kawhi or a Paul George or just like a Jason Tatum, now you can throw, you can throw Stanley at him if you want to, right? You can throw I kind of want Stanley more than DJJ, but you can throw DJJ at them. You can throw Pat if you want to at them at different possessions, So I think you can. That's a plus, right? You can sprinkle different looks for them. You can throw a bigger guy like Pat. You can throw another big guy like Stanley that's really quick laterally. So you could throw different looks at those bigger wing players now.
We didn't have any of that last year.
None.
She was just Pat.
Yeah, and Pat was coming back to the bench just
huffing and puffing. That poor guy, man. You got to put man. He had a welcome to the NBA moment every single game, all 72 games last year. It was wild.
I think if I had to pick just off of just quick thought, maybe like defending stretch fives. Because if Vooch is on the floor, right, he's going to be in drop. Do we trust Vooch to have to get back out and get a hand up to a stretch five, right?
So here's we got a comment from Erase the Hate. I wish we would have gotten a rim protector. That to me, the rim protection, I think, is the most glaring. I wouldn't say it's a glaring weakness, but that's the thing that I'm most concerned about. Vooch has never been really much of a rim protector. He's a decent interior defender, and generally he deters a lot of people from getting into the paint because of his size. But as far as blocks and, shot blocking, rim protection in general, I think that's something we really don't have a whole lot of outside of maybe Tony Bradley.
Yeah. So I guess this is me just being over what am I looking for?
Overconfident.
There
biased.
It is. Overconfident. Biased. I would say biased.
I'm just saying.
But
you're just seeing red.
So no, like I'm more so thinking about Pat, right? So I just really think that if I think you need to go back, right, and just not you personally, but people need to go back and watch games of Pat in college and see what type of rim protector he is when he's put in the position to be one. I think he's going to be someone that can take a step up at being a rim protector for us, especially being that backside defender for Vooch in the drop. Like I think we're going to see an uptick from him in that position. That's just me though. Like I'm not saying that take is wrong at all, because we don't know if he's going to do it. I'm just being optimistic, because
we don't have anything proven yet. We have some upside there with Pat. But yeah, as far as a proven rim protector, that's something that this roster is definitely still lacking.
That's a great point.
We got another question from King Pookie Nation Alvarez. Talks about what are we seeing our European kid? I think you're talking about Marko Simonovic.
Yeah,
and Marco's got a chance. He's got some offensive skill. Yeah. I don't know how much he'll see of the court this year. Hopefully, good health for everybody, but. Yeah, he can be that kid in stretch five for you in spurts, I think.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think. You could still go to play games in the G League, right? If you're not in two-way. So I think I don't want to sound like bogus right now, but I think if you want to see Marko play a little bit, you might have to go to Now Arena for right now, because I think they're going to really let him get some reps down there.
That'll be good for him. It'll be good for him.
Yeah, exactly. And at some point, because we have to remember as well, he's a second round pick. And I know Jokic was a second round pick. Okay. I know that, but not everybody's Jokic. So I think he needs time, right? He needs time to really just get in the structure of what they want to do, put some more muscle on, maybe, work on some different things, but maybe adjusting his 3-point shot a bit. I think he needs to adjust it just a tad bit. It's a little flat, but yeah, I think he'll be in.
Looks like me out there. Looks like my 3-point shot.
I heard you got a nice arc on your shot, man. What are you talking about?
I'll work. Let's start off. I'm trying. Oh, we got another question from Torian. So this is one that I think is going to be a talking point, especially early on in the year, which is, does Lonzo have free reign to be a pure point in Donovan's system instead of a 3-and-D guy when he was on the Pelicans? So I know we've both touched on this, I think, on Twitter at some point, but that was definitely the role that he's been playing with the Pelicans.
Yeah.
I never think it's a bad thing to have multiple ball handlers, multiple people that can create for you. The problem that I wouldn't even call it a problem. What Lonzo has excelled at is transition creation. And he's definitely going to have free reign in transition to create. We've got a lot of good lob threats. We got 3 dunk contest winners on this team. And I think we've got the bodies to really move in transition other than Vooch and maybe DeMar. I think DeMar's still probably going to be fine in transition. In the half court, that's where I think more the question lies. DeMar, obviously, you want the ball in his hands a lot. He's a very, very good pick and roll ball handler. He was the second most pick and roll ball handler in the league this year behind only Kawhi Leonard as far as points per possession. And he's also a really, really efficient ISO scorer. He was number 1 in the league the last 2 years. I mentioned this on Twitter because there was a national podcast that had said something the opposite of that. So I had to correct it. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some learning curve. I think Lonzo is definitely going to be a connector. He's going to be an important piece to moving the ball. I don't know how much with Zach and DeMar both being great at getting to the rim. I think he's not going to be required to do that particular thing in creation as much. But if you look at, especially with Vooch and Zach, neither of them are black holes on offense. Whereas I think, Brandon Ingram and Zion, I think weren't as willing passers. Zion, I think, made some strides and B.I.'s made some strides. But I think you're going to have the ball moving a whole lot more on this team than it was with the Pelicans. I don't know. That's just my initial thought on it. But what do you think, Larro?
I'm right there with you, man. The 3-and-D thing, like people,
it's a great thing to be.
Exactly. Like
to start,
every team wants a guy that can defend and also shoot threes now. Like let's not think that's a negative, but it's also a plus that he can also play so well in transition, and he's also a great connector in an offense that Donovan likes the ball to kind of pop around, even though he slowed it down a lot because when we signed Vooch, but I think there's still going to be some elements in there, like if you watch the Bulls closely, right? If we're on the fact we grab the ball off the glass, off a miss, we're coming down. Most likely there's going to be a double drag going on, right? And Vooch will pop, and now you have different guys. You can have his rollers. You can have Alize be a roller. You can have Pat be a roller. You can put DeMar in that position to be a roller. There's just so many different things you can do. You can flow into Miami action or Chicago action. There's so many different things. So the half court thing, like I'm not too hung up on it because he's still going to be able to be Lonzo. I don't think there's going to be any restrictions on him. I think he's still going to be able to have that creativity to be what he likes to do, what he likes to do, which is be that great passer, intelligent basketball player, offensively and defensively. Like I don't think I think a lot of people are worried that he's going to be mad about something like that, but I think that he's in a good situation. He's like he said, he loved the organization wants him, so that's all he wanted. He wanted to be with an organization that wanted him to be who he is, and now he has Zach. Him and Zach are good boys. DeMar and him are good boys. So it's like he's in a good situation, man. So I wouldn't be too hung up on that. But
yeah, and also with his age, as you said, Larro, it's he, Zach, and Pat are the future of this organization. For the next half decade at least, right? And so even when guys like Vooch and DeMar are gone and who have been taking up more possessions, I think allowing Lonzo to continue to grow into that role and be the player he wants to be, it's only going to benefit him. Yeah. So, and if the team's winning, people complain very little when they're winning. I'll just say that it's when you're losing that you start to, those problems start to crop up. So I would expect to not hear very much about it unless we start losing a lot. And then, they'll make up anything. They made up like Rose and Jimmy having problems.
I just remember like last season and even the season before last season, we failed to operate on the fast break, and I think we missed out on a bunch of points during games doing that. And I don't think that's going to happen now with Lonzo. I think and DeMar. And I think we're going to see an uptick in points in terms of fast break points. So he's going to bring what he is what we need. And that's all it really is, man.
Yeah. So, John, I think you've made comments on 2 different accounts. So sorry I missed your first one, but it says looks like the Bulls are going to be playing a lot of small fours and fives like Team USA did. I mean, as Larro just said, the transition game is going to be really key. Vooch, I know we talked with Mark Caranzolis about this, where Vooch fits into that transition scheme. I think he's going to be great as a trailer 3. He's going to be deadly with that trailer 3. And if we can't find anything in transition and Vooch, the trailer isn't there, you can just flow right into your first action. You do dribble handoff. I mean, Vooch, DeMar, and Zach are going to they're going to have so much fun.
Yeah.
And they're going to create so much space for each other. I'm so excited. I don't see, honestly, offensively, it's very hard to see where this team has a weakness. Yeah. You've got guys that can do everything. Zach and Vooch are both 3-level scorers. They get hot from anywhere and everywhere. They can pass. They can be rim threats. Vooch has got that little, that little game on each side of the basket along the baseline. He's got that little jumper that's just money. They're both shooting 40% plus from 3. DeMar's gonna have a lot of space to operate in the pick and roll. He's a low turnover guy. He draws fouls a lot. I mean, those were some of our biggest weaknesses. Acme has done an incredible job of targeting those weaknesses. I know we talked about this with Rob Schaefer when he was on a few weeks ago. The Bulls have targeted those weaknesses and made them into strengths. And he's done that defensively with the rest of this roster and filling out the roster. The defensive things that we struggled with last year, which was point of attack defense and wing defense in general, he has brought in guys that excel at those specific things. And so I think the only thing that really stands out to me as a glaring weakness is the rim protection, but I think we've got enough bodies there and enough great perimeter defense to make up for that and prevent a lot of guys from getting to Vooch in the first place.
I'm just, I'm just thinking about playoff wise, right? And I don't want to be that guy, but I do expect this team to be a playoff team. I'm not going to project anything, but I do think that they are. But I'm just thinking about it in a playoff setting, right? Vooch on the block. Are teams are gonna have a hard time figuring out if they want to double Vooch? Because if they do, you got shooters all around. And let's say DeMar's on the floor. Teams may say, you know what, we'll help off with DeMar. But if you hit DeMar, he's going to attack that space and make the right play every single time. Yep. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. This is going to be fun, man. This is going to be fun. Can't wait.
I'm a little bit more worried about DeMar's defense in the playoffs than in my regular season.
Yeah.
I'm more worried about that. But as far as the offense, I think this is exactly the type of team you want offensively in a playoff series, because you got guys that all 3 of those stars are good in the mid-range, which is something that is more important in the playoffs than it is in the regular season, because that's when defense is really locked down on you and you need to go get a bucket. And we got 3 guys on this team already who are elite at getting their own basket. And then you guys like Pat and Kobe and Lonzo that can step in and they can get buckets every once in a while. They can get hot and they're going to have space to operate. This should be a playoff team. It should be. We have the talent to be a playoff team. As Calvin just said in his comment, Bulls have a lot of size all over, great wingspans, one of the longest teams in the league. We've got a great squad. I am beyond impressed at what Acme was able to do this summer. And they've also got flexibility going forward with the contract of Derek Jones Jr. being expiring. They've still got a $5 million traded player exception. So even though we've got 15 guys, you can go through half the season, see how those forwards work out, see who's progressing, who's not. And if you see you can get an upgrade somewhere or a better long-term fit, you can flip one of those guys. You can use the trade player exception. You can use, one of the expiring contracts to improve your roster further as you get closer to playoff time. So I think they're just in a great position. What we're going to do on Saturday is we're going to have a great guest to talk about the disparity between how Bulls fans and Bulls analysts have felt about the offseason versus the national media, because I think there has been a disconnect there. So that's something I want to get into. We'll save it for Saturday. But from our perspective, I've been I don't want to say I've been a negative Bulls fan. But I've been critical of the Bulls front office in the past. I've been critical of the coaching. I've been critical of the way and the approach that they've taken to building a basketball team. I have very few complaints about what they've done this offseason. I was a little worried when we first traded for Vooch, because I was like, okay, well, what's next? What are you going to do? They've very much impressed me. I'm stuttering over myself to say it, but they've just impressed me phenomenally.
Man, you're so right, man. I mean, I don't even like our whole lives as Bulls fans. We were just used to the John and Paxson and Garway. You know, we'll be conservative guys.
That's all I've known.
We
That's
tried to
all
get
I've
D
known.
Wade. We tried to get LeBron. Okay, but we settled for Boozer, and we settled for 30-plus-year-old Pau Gasol. Hey, we at least we got those guys, right? Like
I mean, they were fine, and they were fine. Like, I love those guys, but this is just a whole different story. This is a whole feeling and vibe around the city, and you can tell. We've seen it in the amount of people that are watching and the excitement and the engagement that we get, that people are a lot more excited about the Bulls this season.
Yeah.
Jerry, we need to get AK a trophy. We're coming for that trophy. Who said we're going all the way? Someone said we're going all the way this year.
I think it was Skokes. Yeah.
Going all the way this season. Let's not get ahead of our skis here, as Kris Johnson likes to say. But I think this team has everything it takes to get out of the second round if need be. Like, I think we can compete with any team in the East right now, except maybe the Bucks and the Nets at this point. And there's a lot of growth to be had in the young guys. Zach can take another step. Kobe can take another step. Pat can take another step. Lonzo can take another step.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of these guys that are buy low. Salim said right here, penciling in Alize as a backup power forward. He's only 25. There's a lot of growth available, and I think Billy has shown an ability in all of his stops so far with all of his squads to get the most out of his players and to find a scheme on both ends that fits the personnel and maximizes their strengths and minimizes their weaknesses. So I cannot wait. Cannot wait.
Man. And to go what Salim just said about penciling in Alize as a backup power forward, to go along with the rebounding, right, is watching him. He's also somebody that can grab it and go. He has the ability to bring the ball up and he makes the right pass, crisp passes. He's also somebody that this is a coaching thing, right? But when I watch games, I hate when players don't even try to rebound and get an offensive rebound. They just turn, it's going to miss, and they just go back to the other way. Alize is not that. That dude is going to fight until he literally can't get the rebound. So, and he's another guy that finishes. When he gets that offensive rebound, he's a really good threat to finish it as well. So, I think he's going to be efficient. He's going to be efficient. He's going to be an efficient player. He's going to be a solid defensive player, not somebody who's going to be pinning stuff off the glass or blocking shots left and right, but somebody who's going to be in the right position, and that you, as a coach, you can put him in there and know he's going to do his job to the best of his ability. And I'm not going to say what the hell. I love this right now. I can't even explain how happy I am, because it's always been, well, I hope Jabari works. Maybe this is the year Jabari figures it out, or I hope Boozer can be the guy he was in Utah. Like maybe he wants to be here, Now it's let's go.
We've got proven guys, and we're not relying. We don't have to rely. Like last year when we started, we had 4 guys in the starting rotation, maybe all 5, in fact, that we didn't know. Yeah. We hoped Zach took a step. We hoped Kobe worked out as a point guard. We hoped Otto Porter was healthy. We hoped Patrick Williams could, play the 3, play the 4, be worth his stock. We hoped Wendell and Lowry could, take a step out of the Jim Boylan era and be better. This team, you got proven guys. We know what Zach can do. We know what Vooch can do. We know what DeMar does. We know what Lonzo can do. And there's still a lot of room for growth, but we're not banking on the growth. We're not depending on the growth in order to be the team we want to be today. Yeah. That's the difference. Is Acme has gotten guys that fit the roster, that are proven, and that are hungry. And a lot of these guys have been doubted. Vooch and Zach and DeMar have all been underrated their entire careers. They've been the butt of a lot of different jokes about inefficiency or, being on bum teams or not being able to get into the playoffs and all that different stuff. These guys are hungry. These guys want to win, and the front office wants to win, and they're willing to make the moves, big market moves, big market energy to get it done. I sound like a sports radio host right now, which I hate, but I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited about it, Larro. I can't contain it, even though mean, probably don't look excited, but I've never been happier about the Bulls' direction. And I said this on Twitter in the last week or so. The Bulls are out one first-round pick in the next 5 years. For the next decade, we're only out one pick. And we flipped this roster in the last 6 months to look like this while only losing one pick, right, for the next 5 years. We lost our pick this year, but from now to for the next 5 years, we're out one pick.
AK the finesse god, man. He's a finesser, man. He's a finesser. And talk about, man, the relationships, man. Like having a front office that has relationships throughout the league. Respected around the league. You saw how he played hardball, and he picked on Cleveland, picked on Portland, and got what he wanted. Man, it's
great to see.
Okay, I got a question for you. So if you take out, let's say, Zach, Vooch, DeMar, and Pat, if you had to guess who would be that next player that you think takes another step, or is that missing piece we've been missing? Like, who do you think is that guy that steps up
on our roster today?
Yeah.
This is a good question because I got like three people popped in my head at the same time.
I know, right?
So number one is Kobe White. Kobe White has a lot more to show, I believe. I think he can. He is already a pretty good shooter. I think he can get more efficient as a shooter. I think he can cut his turnovers down. I think he can be better on defense than he was last year. I think he's got a lot of room to grow, and I don't think we should be so quick to pigeonhole, Kobe as far as his future is concerned. We did this with Zach. Like Zach's like, what, a year ago? We were like, well, he's probably going to be a great sixth man on a championship team.
Yeah.
Oh man, he can be a number one or number two guy. And he's still growing. He's only 25, 26. I think Kobe's got a lot of room to grow. I think Tony Bradley at the minimum, man, I think that's a great sign. I think Bulls fans are going to be really excited by what he can do as a defender. And he has got some nice touch around the basket. He's not like, as much as I love Daniel Gafford couldn't shoot further than his arm could reach, right? That was the extent, and he was really good at it. But Tony Bradley's got some really nice touch around the rim, so he can step up. But I think the other guy that I'm really keyed in on this season to see what he can do is Troy Brown Jr. So Troy Brown Jr. is at that backup three spot. He's going to be key. His playmaking ability that he showed in the bubble, his shot making, his defense, the defense that he showed against Kyrie this year was impressive to me. He's going to be really important for this team to be that 3-and-D guy and to add that playmaking, that passing off the bench. So I know that I cheated and picked three different guys. But those three guys, I think, have a lot of room to grow, and I think they have a lot to prove and want to prove this year.
Yeah, totally agree with all those names, man. The fact that we could have three guys without naming the big time names.
Yeah, I even talk about Lonzo or Caruso. I haven't, didn't even talk about Marco. Didn't talk about Io. It's deep. Io's going to be fun. We didn't talk about Io.
And it's like, it's not like we're being the homer guys that we have a horrible team and we're like, oh, we got this guy, we got this. No, literally we have a team.
We got a squad, 25 games.
But we have guys that they're going to contribute to winning, right? You don't have many guys that you don't want on the floor. Never mind, I'm not going to bring out his name up, but it's been great. It's great to see it, man. It's great to really look at the roster and be like, I don't mind him being on the floor. I don't mind him being on the floor. Oh, I know what he's going to do. I want him on the floor too. How are we going to get all these? How are they going to play? How's everybody going to play? You know what I mean? It's it's a good problem to have, man. It's great. And then, wow, man, I'm just blown away right now. Like you said, man.
Yeah. No, it's going to be great. Skokes got a good question. So Kobe, while he's out with the shoulder injury, what do you think the bench is going to look like in his absence? Because that scoring that he provides is going to be sorely missed, I think, early on in the season. Oh, yeah. So do you think they're going to stagger Zach, DeMar, Zach, DeMar, and Lonzo and Vooch, kind of to mix and match with that bench unit to make sure there's enough shooting? Or as Coke says, you see a bench of Caruso, TBJ, DJJ, Alize, and Bradley. That could work. I mean, that would be a fun all bench unit, but I think they're probably going to mix in Zach, Lonzo, Vooch, DeMar in there.
I think you got to stagger. I think you definitely have to stagger those guys and to just until Kobe comes back, because Kobe is the type of player where you can have him out if you wanted to let's say sit DeMar and Zach at the same time. Like you can have, Kobe can still be a ball handler. It's just, you don't want to have to depend on him the whole game or whole season to be that guy. Right. But in spurts, he could definitely do it. But I think it's staggering. You got to stagger that group. I think
Jerry makes a good point here. Hope Io's getting minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I think Io's going to be important early on in the season for his point of attack defense. I think he might fill in some minutes for Kobe. We'll probably see a lot of G League minutes for him this year as well. But this reminds me of a complaint I had.
Uh-oh.
National people talking about the offense not fitting because you want the ball in Zach's hands. This is what they said. You want the ball in Zach's hands and not DeMar's hands. And you're going to be taking away touches from Zach and from Vooch. First of all, if you listen to any Warriors people that talk about how many Steph pick and rolls they run per game, and they're just like, why don't we have Steph do 50 pick and rolls a game? Because he can't do that. It's just so tiring. You see how much running Steph Curry does every single game on and off ball. You just can't do that. You got to spread having multiple ball handlers is a positive thing for Zach and Vooch. It's not a weakness. It's not a problem. Like having the ball in DeMar's hands, having the ball in Zach's hands, having the ball in Vooch's hands, this is a good thing. Neither Zach nor Vooch need the ball in their hands to be effective. I mean, if you have DeMar and Vooch running pick and rolls and pick and pops together, and you have Zach LaVine on the wing in the corner, teams are going to be, I have no idea who to guard. Like, it's going to be so hard for the teams to guard that because Zach is such a good cutter, such a crazy good shot maker from anywhere on the floor. And you saw the videos he was working on his little floater recently this week. The man has no offensive weaknesses. Like, really, I don't see the downside of having the ball in DeMar's hands, even though he's not as good a player as Zach or Vooch. He makes their job easier and he maximizes DeMar's own strengths at the same time. I don't see the complaint. Like, you can't have Zach running 50 pick and rolls a game or Vooch running 30 pick and roll. You need that variety, and it strengthens your bench unit. If you do want to split them up, you do want to have Zach running that many plays with the ball in his hand, great. Throw DeMar on the bench or throw Zach on the bench and have them split their minutes, and then you got a strong offensive lineup no matter who's on the floor. Sorry, I just had to do a little rant there.
No, man, I think it was needed, man, because it's been hard for me not to say anything on Twitter, but I'm not trying to be that guy on Twitter, the one that's creating all types of confrontation and all
that's
that. Me. No, here's the thing, man. You don't start it, you just finish it. That's all it is. There's no wrong with being the finisher, right? It's okay to be Lowry online, just a play finisher. But no, man. It's funny because that's why I think when you talk about the dunker spot, right? When we bring up the dunker spot, I think one of the biggest things that I appreciate about that pod is that you can tell they take the time to really dig deep into each team that they talk about. And they just don't spew off, takes without having anything behind it to give substance to what they're talking about, right? And that's what I respect about their pod. And I don't want to talk bad about a certain pod. I'm not going to bring up the pod's name, but certain pods just spew takes. They just say things without really digging deep. They hear DeMar, oh, he's this, he's that. He couldn't win with Toronto. Why do you want him on your team? But let's talk about what happened in Toronto. let's talk about what happened, what was going on in San Antonio. Did his role change? How was the usage? What types of things did they do with DeMar? What did DeMar do well in San Antonio that he didn't do well in Toronto? Let's talk about stuff like that. What he did in San Antonio that was good, what of that good can he bring over to the Bulls? They don't do that. They just spew off takes, and it's so frustrating. And I'm glad you did it. I was at work and I went on Twitter and I was in love with everything you said. I was like, get him, Kris.
Here's the thing. But here's the thing, Lara. It's almost impossible for someone to cover all 30 teams at a deep enough level to have expert takes on every player, on every situation. I don't fault anybody for that. But what I do say is, okay, well, if you don't have that specialized knowledge for that specific team, when you talk about that team, make sure you're bringing on people that do talk about them, that do put that work in. So the dunker spot is one of the few, because Steve Jones Jr. and Nekias Duncan are crazier than we are. And they watch all 30 teams religiously, and they break down film. They spend a lot of time to figure that stuff out. So those are people you can trust. Even if you disagree with their opinion, you know that their opinion is coming from a place of knowledge and study, right? Whereas a lot of the people, and they're good at their job, they're doing great things, and I think in general they're providing a great service. But as you said, if you look at DeMar is a perfect example of someone who I think is overlooked. A lot of people use plus minus as a definitive stat on individual performances. I think is a huge mistake. First of all, it's not an individual stat; it's a lineup stat. It tells you how certain lineups perform. And so when you have people that use advanced metrics, a lot of which rely heavily on plus minus, and use that as the conversation finisher of, oh, so-and-so was a minus whatever this year, overall when they were on the floor versus when they're off. So that means such and such a team performed worse, or this player did not make that team better. That is the absolute wrong conclusion that you should draw. That plus minus stat or that metric should be the start of your conversation. That should start your conversation. So if you see a guy like DeMar who has a negative plus minus at the end of the year, this conclusion shouldn't be, oh, well, he must not make the team better. The conclusion should be, why is this stat? Why was this negative? That should be the start of your research. Okay, now let me figure out why he was like this. Because Zach had a negative plus minus the whole first half of the year. But people who watched the Bulls knew the reason he had a bad plus minus is because every time he was on the floor, he shared it with Kobe and Pat and Lowry and Wendell, all of which are young players who make a lot of mistakes. And our bench was Satoransky, Garrett Temple, Otto Porter, and Thad Young, who are four great vets. Yes. So you had one of the strongest benches in the league and one of the weakest starting lineups in the league. And so Zach was it was to the detriment of all of his stats. So you have to look at the context. So when you use plus minus, when you use advanced metrics, I think people rely way too much on advanced metrics to color their idea of their player's actual performance. But you should use it as a guidepost, as the start of your conversation as to, hey, was he effective on the floor in these lineups? No. Okay, why? And then go. And then start talking. But people don't do that. They use the metrics as the final judgment on a player when it's not supposed to be used that way in the first place.
We're talking Bulls. Okay, let me pull up big ball reference. Exactly. Let me pull up Duncan.
They use it as a crutch, as a substitute for actual time and knowledge spent. They use it as a substitute for time spent actually running through film, actually watching games, actually asking the right questions. That's where my complaint comes in. It's not that they're saying stuff. It's not that I'd expect them to cover every team, but that should be where you start your conversation, not where you should end it. So
totally agree with everything you said. And that's why it's tough, man. It's tough to, you really have to find people that you trust in terms of basketball knowledge, basketball coverage, because if you can't trust a lot of national media people, because, their job is they got to cover everybody. They may not, cover every team to the deepest extent that they need to in order to be on par with the guys, that cover them every day. So that's the tough part, and like I kind of came off harsh. Like I don't want to come off as that guy that's like, saying that they shouldn't be doing. No, I'm saying that, like, I just wish that if they're going to talk about a certain team, really dig deep into that team and find out, or player, and find out what it was, right? That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Salim's right. Basketball is that one sport where stats are helpful, but if you're not watching film over and over, you're not going to come to the right conclusion. Now, you may stumble upon the right conclusion, but you're going to be stumbling upon it for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
So you got to make sure that you're not only reaching the right conclusion, but you're reaching it for the correct reasons. And the only way to do that is to spend time researching, spend time watching film, learning X's and O's, learning what the coaches' schemes are being run. It just takes time, and it's an investment that most people are not willing to make. And so that's fine. You don't have to make that investment. But if you're not willing to make the investment, make sure you're using disclaimers and be fine with saying, I don't know. Right? I'm not going to tell you that I watched 50 games of Alize Johnson this year. I'm not going to tell you that. I will tell you what I've seen based on what I've watched, but I'm going to have to rely on people that I know have watched it. I reach out and I get research from people I trust who I know have watched those games, because I know I don't know. A lot of people, I think, aren't willing to say, I don't know. And that's really where the issue starts for me. So I didn't mean for this to be a rant podcast at all. This is supposed to be hype, just pure hype train for the Bulls. But you got me going on it for a second.
Hey, man, I wanted you to get that off, man. I really did. I wanted you to really get that off, because as Bulls fans, like, we're ready to get out of the gutter, I guess, if you will. Like, we're ready to be that, big market and have that big market energy, and have that respect. I think something that ticks me off sometimes is, like, when you hear pods like that they just spew off things. It's like, hey, whoa, like, we have a team now, and let's cover it the right way, because we actually have a squad. We have a good team that has a very good chance of being a playoff team, and maybe, who knows, maybe out the first round. But, like, I just want a team, like, if it was a team that even me and you knew that, like, it wasn't all that, whatever, fine. I'm not going to fight you over that or talk to you over that. But when we finally have a team that has the ability to get into the postseason and do damage, like, let's cover the Bulls the right way. Let's get the right message out to the people that will be listening to your podcast that don't live in Chicago or maybe aren't Bulls fans, right? So let's just get the right information out there. And saying that DeMar, what was the take? The DeMar is I forgot what you said.
It was someone on a podcast that said DeMar, there's no justification for DeMar DeRozan to have the ball in his hands in the clutch or in the last 2 minutes of the game, when he was the number one. He's the number one best, most efficient isolation scorer in the league. He's exactly the type of person that most teams, not just the Bulls, that almost every team in the league should put the ball in DeMar's hands if they want a bucket at the end of a game. Because not only is he a great isolation scorer, he also draws fouls at like the 99th percentile in the freaking league, and shooting fouls especially. So it's like, he is a walking guaranteed clutch bucket. He has been in the last 2 years.
And think about it, right? If you're an opposing coach, right? 2 minutes left in a ball game, defensively, you got to worry about DeMar, because he's an efficient player. He gets to the free throw line, and he's a tough shot maker. Oh, wait. You still got to worry about Zach LaVine. You still got to worry about Vooch.
2 3-level scorers, elite 3-level scorers. Next, that are, you have to not only cover DeMar, but those two guys at the same time. And then you got guys like Pat and Lonzo on the wing, waiting in the corners that can hit a three. Yeah. This is great.
Oh, man. Exactly, Bracking. Like, Bracking says, if the Knicks had signed him, because I guess on Twitter, the whole thing is, like, Knicks fans are like, oh, if we would have signed DeMar, it would have been painted as, like, negative, but the Bulls signed him, and they're being celebrated.
Like, who celebrated? Who in the national media has celebrated the DeMar DeRozan signing? One person, Chris Herring. Actually, Michael Pina at SI as well. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
had a nice article on him too.
Yeah.
I'll give credit to those two. But other than those two guys, everyone else has like laughed him off the face of the earth. I think DeMar is listening. So
Yeah, he
DeMar,
is.
if you're listening, show him, baby. Show him what you got. We're
Seriously,
waiting. We know what you can do.
Just play your game, brother. There was one thing I wanted to bring up. It slipped my mind.
This emergency podcast has lasted longer than most of our shows. To talk about Stanley Johnson, Alize Johnson, and Matt Thomas.
Oh man.
This roster goes deep, Larro. That's why we got the juice for this.
Oh, I was talking to
Mark Schindler loves. To be fair, Mark Schindler loves just about every player because he's an amazing person.
Vibes.
But yeah, he's in on it. We love Mark Schindler. We're gonna have him on again soon.
Seriously.
He's coming back.
But something that when I was on PD's stream, we had talked about Pat Williams, and something that when we had just talked about like staggering the groups, the bench and everything. I think that they may have found something for Pat offensively. From
Summer League?
Yes, in terms of like a particular set, a particular area of the floor he likes to work from. And that's the mid-post area. I think that is something in the second group, not first group, because it's probably not going to be as an efficient of a possession as a pick and roll, pick and pop with Vooch or DeMar. So like you'd probably save this for the second group until, who knows, maybe it does become super efficient. But I think there's something you can do with Pat in that second group if you need another offensive set to get points out of or get good looks out of. And that's really getting Pat in that mid-post area. His confidence from that area, from those games, has been through the roof. And he every time he touched the ball in that area, something good has happened. Either he's went to the basket and finished, had a nice turnaround jump shot, or he draws help, makes the right pass. That is something I think they can attack. And I read an article, I think his name is Spencer Davies, from basketballnews.com. And
he's good.
Funny enough, after that stream, that's the article, right? The article talks about Pat Williams in that newfound area of the mid post and how the Bulls, Damian Cotter and Billy Donovan have really tried to find a way to get him and find a comfort spot. Like if Pat's having a bad game, what can we do to get him going? With Zach, right? If he's having a tough game, get him in some pick and roll and he'll get going either downhill or he get to that nice pull-up three. Like there's different ways for Zach to get into it. Vooch, give him that ball in the post, right? He's having a tough game, give him the ball in the post. He loves it. That's his second nature. He gets a nice look out of that, right? Pat, they seem to think they have found something for Pat in terms of getting him going offensively, and they want to actually work with that. And I just thought when I saw that in Summer League, like it wasn't like a fluke thing. I think like that it looked really like like it was so good, man. It looked really what's the word am I looking for?
Crisp. Effective?
Crisp,
I don't know.
Effective. It was really effective, and not just because it's Summer League, but because it looked. Pat was very comfortable in that set. Like he literally looked. I've never, games you look at Pat and he's making an extra pass, right? Not even look to score, right? He's not in that area. Every time he got that ball in that area, there was a different look in Pat's eyes, and that's what I look for in body language. So I'm very interested to see what they do with that.
Yep, get to your spot. So that's going to be a fun wrinkle to watch as we approach the season, get preseason. Let's see. We got a question from Torian. When does Bulls training camp begin? I want to say it's towards the end of this month.
Yeah, the 28th. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's usually a couple weeks before preseason starts, or week or two before preseason starts. I know this whole. I know they're trying to transition back to like a normal season, but it's throwing me off a little bit. Jerry asked, "Do you guys cover the Bulls every day?" We don't have a show every day. We have a show every Saturday night, 11 p.m. Central. You can either catch us live and ask questions like you guys are doing here, or you can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on Twitch. You can catch us in podcast form if you guys search the Barroom Network name, Barroom Network. We are listed under there. The title will be Bulls 101. We usually come out like every Sunday morning. Is usually when the podcast is posted. Obviously today is Monday night, so we'll probably have it posted Tuesday morning. But I'm on Twitter and Larro's on Twitter every day. Most of the time when any Bulls news happens, we're responding to or commenting on it. And we're trying to, like, Larro's posting clips all the time of different sets that are being run or what the Bulls are doing. And I'm not usually posting clips, but I'll usually have conversations about different things, different Bulls news and what's going on with the Bulls. So we do kind of cover the team every day. Even though both of us have full-time jobs.
What I was thinking about this the other day, Kris. Like, I'm glad that was a great question because they brought it back up. But like, when I think about our Twitter presence, it's almost like your front office view. Like, your point of view is like front office, and like I'm like coach, right? Like I love looking at the plays and break it down like that. Like, if you're looking for like someone that has a pretty good understanding in terms of roster construction and views from like a front office point of view, like I think Kris is like a good person to really follow and ask questions to. Like, that's somewhere I'm wanting to grow in, right? But for me, like, my comfort zone is talking about plays, talking about, you know, player development, things like that. That's what I like to do. You know, so
coaching X's and O's. Yeah, that's what Larro excels in it. You guys won't find a better person to talk about Bulls' X's and O's than Larro. And that's something I'm trying to grow in. So we're trying to help each other.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
The perspective of the opposite person. And that's, I think, why we make such a dynamic duo. I think I can't believe we found each other. So it's been a great run so far.
You know what? Shout out Salim, man. Shout out Salim.
It's Salim's fault.
Yeah, man. Salim Sudawala. And we got to get up and see Shang-Chi, brother. We're gonna go do that. But yeah, man, if it wasn't for Salim, man, like, I wouldn't have found you, brother. I wouldn't have found you. No. So yeah,
it's been a great blessing. So, and I hope we're providing something for you guys as you're listening or watching or commenting, interacting with us. I hope we're providing something. There's days I feel like we're not, but hopefully we're providing something that you can learn and get to know the Bulls a little bit more. And just from a basketball perspective, how to look at the game in a way that's going to make your experience better. It's going to help you understand basketball at a deeper level and appreciate it. Because ultimately, this is a beautiful game. It's art. And if we can help you find ways to appreciate the art a little bit better, then we've done our jobs. We're not getting paid for this. We're just having a good time and doing what we can to connect with you guys. So really appreciate it. Calvin, Jerry, you guys had comments about Pat Will's, going to flourish in the offense. Yeah, because he's not a main scoring option right now, I think he will be one of these days. I think when he's 24, 25, he's going to be a monster as a primary scoring option next to Zach, next to Lonzo. But yeah, I think he can flourish. He can find his spots, as Larro said, like that mid-post area. When he gets there and he gets comfortable, if he can get him in comfortable spots and get consistent there, I mean, he's going to have a great season. So yeah, Salim, going to start a talent agency. The matchmaker.
Oh man,
amazing. I don't know if I don't have anything else tonight. I think we've run through the gamut of questions, and I think we've talked everyone's ears off about the Johnson and Johnson and Matt as much as we could. What do you think? You got anything else?
Hey, shout out Daniel Foy, man. That's our boy, man.
Oh, sorry. Dan's been incognito for weeks here, but I know you're watching, my man.
Hey, so, man. Yeah.
He says, just so you know, I've been here the whole time, but I've been watching on the big screen, so I couldn't comment. You guys are like movie stars.
Oh my Lord. Before we get out of here, though,
I did not have a movie star face, that's for sure.
Before we get out of here, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
And anybody in the chat too, you guys can put in your thoughts as well. But let's say you're stuck on an island, you and your wife, right? You, your wife, and your kids. There's only one food you can have for the whole time, though. The whole duration of the time on the island, until who knows? Maybe somebody stumbles upon you and finds you and takes you away. But right now, you have no ways to get off the island. You got water, obviously, but what food? If you had to pick one food, what would it be?
Now, is this a specific food like bacon or avocado, or is this like a
I
meal,
should say
like a
a meal,
cheeseburger?
a
Okay.
meal.
All right. For me, no question, no contest, chimichangas.
What?
Here's
I
why.
wasn't
Here's
expecting
why.
that.
Here's why. Burritos in general, tortillas, I think, are one of the best vehicles for food in the world. Like, you can wrap anything in burrito and it tastes good. And the only thing better than a burrito, Larro, is a deep fried burrito, and that's what a chimichanga is. So I will die, but I will die a happy man on that island.
That's a good one. I wasn't expecting that, but boom, I like that. I like that. Skokes, 3 steak taco dinner, no hesitation. Steak tacos are good. They're good.
I love it. Oh man, Swiss Family Robinson would be legit. I love that island. That island had everything, man. They had running water. They had a fridge. That's a great movie. Good call, Calvin.
Shout out Daniel Four, our boy. Tacos, he said. Pizza as well. Yeah.
Oh, MG Blazer, what's up, man? MG Blazer's here. Ribeye. Oh, that's my favorite steak. I love me some ribeye. The best ribeye I've ever had is this Argentinian ribeye. It's Argentinian style. You basically soak the thing in lime and salt for like a day and a half or something, and then cook it. You don't need anything else. You just cook that baby medium with lime and salt. It's phenomenal. I love ribeye. It just soaks right into the fat. Oh,
so I guess you don't like the McDonald's ribeye, the McRib.
I'm not even going to respond to that.
All right.
I'm not going to respond to that.
Okay, I'll just give my answer. My answer, it was tough for me.
It better not be mayo chop.
If I could sneak it on the island, I would definitely do that. But I think it's tough for me. It's between pizza, and the particular pizza would be Lou Malnati's Tavern Style, pepperoni and sausage. Okay, that combo is all day for me. That all day. And if I could sneak packets of Kool-Aid, I would do that as well.
You know what's funny is that Lou Malnati's pizza, if it's big enough, could also double as a raft for you and your family. That thick cheese and meat, the thick cheese and the bread.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Same.
You know what?
Chimichanga ain't floating. So
I'm still scarred from Rob Schaefer and Mark Schindler talking trash about the deep dish. You know, we're gonna have to have them on the pod and really get down to business about this deep dish hate.
Hey, when I come out to Chicago this next year sometime, we'll go to Lou Malnati's in your honor. How about that?
Oh, that sounds good to me. We can get that done.
I know you're down. I know you're in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Lou. Yes, MG Blazer. Yes, Lou's sauce is perfect. No doubt about that. But you know what, guys? I think we've been going at it for a while, man. An hour and 33 minutes for an emergency pod. That, like you said, Chris, that's pretty long.
Dedication.
Yeah, man. But you know, this is why we do it, man. We do this because we love it, and this is our fun. This is what we love. But yeah, man. Thank you guys for tuning in to watch us. As always, you know, we got our boys Salim and Daniel Foy. MG Blazer, he was always here as well.
We're missing Luis.
Yeah,
where's that guy Luis today?
I know.
I mean, it's a Monday. Maybe he's probably working.
Right.
He's probably
also Don Burr. Thank God he hasn't been in here. But no, but like
Detroit.
No, but hey, you know what? Thank you, Torian. I hope I'm saying that right. He said great show, guys. Appreciate that. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here. But as always, guys, if you want to get in contact with us, ask any questions you want. We don't care. You can get us at our email at bulls101podcast.com, at gmail.com. You can catch us on Twitter. You can catch Chris Amundsen at KLA Hoops. You can catch me _Larro Hoops. And like Chris said, you know, if you want to listen to our podcast, if you're a listener, you can always find us. Search on anywhere you get your pods. You can search Barroom Network, and you'll find us on there. We usually record on Saturday night, comes out Sunday morning, Monday morning. If you need to get to it, it'll be up by then. That's where you can find us, guys. And again, like, interact with us. We love the people that take the time out to watch us, guys. Like, interact with us. We love to talk to our Bulls fans and fellow Bulls fans, I should say. And yeah, guys, we love this stuff, and we hope to continue to have you guys coming back and continuing to listen. Kris, you got anything to say?
Yeah, no, what you said, Larro, and also appreciate the new guys we had that were commenting today. Appreciate you guys interacting with us. We love it. And if you love good Bulls content, you guys should also check out, there's another show in the Barroom Network with our guys Salim and Edward Schuler Jr., Bulls Golds. You can also find that in the same place you get podcasts. There's this podcast form only, so you can listen anytime. They usually have their show on Sundays. It's out usually Sunday morning, I believe. So, yeah, other than that, appreciate you guys. Larro, you're my man.
I know,
we're so excited.
This is great, brother. This is great, and we'll catch you guys. We got some good stuff cooking up for Saturday. We'll see you then.
All right. See you guys later.
See you.